My high sleep for the 8. Leo Kois and KTK. Lucas on the flight, causing turbulence. Causing waves on our way to the confluence. New voice for the fans. From the pitch to the stands. My high looks than the South Bank lads. Leo Kois and a homie Krash. Hold up, what's this? A raft on the water to the confluence. Yeah. It's chance, I'm bound up, rounds, I love the head to the wars. If it's this, you're off the sea, free aid, this time is now. Locals on the jump to hold it down. Like the stream and do 5 stars. The mile high hot spur and crash the car.
Yes, my homies, welcome back to the Confluence. My name is Leo Kois, the Mile High Hotspur, and I'm joined by my homie, a certified triple OG certified rapid sicko, the driver of the Daddy Shuttle, and of course, the co-host of this here podcast, Krash. It's always a freaking great time when I'm able to kick it with my homie. Go ahead and reach out to the rest of them and let them know how you're feeling. Say what's up to the Confluites. What's going on, my homie?
Yeah, no, it's been great. I'm here in Denver back. I was last week. I missed the first game back of the season. I said, and I went back to Indiana to visit my my parents, and we spent most of the week over there. So I worked remote, let him chase around some neighbor friends and do all the fun things with grandma and grandpa. So we had a great time. Lots of fun. And I'm back in Denver. We're getting soccer season is officially started for me as a coach. At least, well, to a degree. My daughter started this week with preseason for her team, and I actually had jumped in today to help support one of the coaches that couldn't make it, or couldn't hang. We had some delays and things today, so. I jumped in and put on my coaching hat and got back into it. So it was a lot of fun. I'm excited to get going. Yeah, man, it's been a bit of a whirlwind past couple weeks, getting the games, World Cup ending, MLS kicking back off. We're starting to get some news. Hopefully we start getting some better news, but yeah, man, it's been good.
Yeah, I do. You know what? I'm going to end up making this intro even longer on the next episodes. We have to add in there. Not only is he a certified OG, triple OG of the Rapids Sickos, but he's also Coach Krash. So we're going to have to make way for that one in future intros as well. Dude, I know you stay busy when it comes time to the coaching. And we kind of talk about it a little bit here and there. So best of luck to you and your squad, homie. Hopefully you guys lift some silverware at the end of the season, bro. That'd be dope for you and them as well. Krash, bro, it's been hot, my homie. It's been very hot, but one thing that I want to say has not been as hot as it should be is a Rapids win streak. Where the hell is a Rapids win streak? It's been a long time since we've had a Rapids win streak. In fact, I thought we were going to start with one. That's kind of how we'll get into this week's episode. 24 already this season, 24 episodes on this season so far, Krash. That's a repertoire, homie. We are getting some material for the Confluence podcast. I love it, bro. Making some waves as well. Picked up tons of Instagram followers on the way. Big up to all the people that download this on any type of streaming platform. Big up to the homies that visit theconfluencepod.com. Before we get any further though, Krash, I was at the game it was Wednesday, right? Our home game against San Diego FC. Big up to my little cousin, took him there. We went to go see Ed, the season ticket rep. Big up to Ed. If you're listening, my homie, big yourself up, Ed, man. We went over there to that little area to go grab a drink and say what's up to him. And I want to shout out the little homie Mag. Mag looked around. He said, "Oh, shoot, Leo Kois, what's up?" And I'm like, "Yo, what's up, bro? How are you doing?" A listener of the podcast. He even said, "I enjoy listening to you guys." He said, Leo Kois and Krash. So, Krash, I just want to say big up to Mag. Definitely recognized your boy while we were waiting there to get the drinks. And he said he's a fan of the show. So look, I know we have tons of friends in this space. I know we have people that are kind of in the similar space that when they see us, they acknowledge us, say what's up. Some of the homies that we have that know we have this space, when they see us, they say what's up. But it was I want to say like a really good feeling to see somebody that we don't know that listens to the pod and recognize and said, yo, I enjoy your guys' show. So big up to you, my little homie Mag. I told you shout out for you was coming on the next episode. So here you are, my homie. And before we go any further with that, Crash, we have another shout out. We had a winner in last week's what was it? It was kind of what would you call it, like a raffle, not a raffle, just a giveaway.
Yeah,
The ticket giveaway. Yeah, go ahead and break us down. Crash, how'd that go?
Yeah, no, it was great. We responses and our boy Colton was as the one that really he brought it home. He emailed us, he connected with us on Instagram and all the posts and things, and he actually connected with me at the Denver Summit game at Centennial. He had messaged me and said he's going to be there, and sure enough, I found him and gave him a wave and saw him and his wife enjoying the game in the supporter section there. So I definitely was excited for him to win that and see that. And I was unfortunately not able to go and spend some time, but he did get his way over to find Leo and get a lovely picture and hang out a bit. So thank you. One, I think at the end of the day, it's just a matter of, I love that we have listeners engaging with us. I love that we have, our confluites, as you said, getting engaged. And thank you to, Eddie for hooking us up and that suggestion there, for making that happen as well. So just, it won't happen all the time. But it is an opportunity when we can give back to the community. We do this for you guys. We don't, we're not making any money on this. This is purely for fun, exposure, and an opportunity for us to build a community. So when we can give back to that community with something like tickets and expand it with some friends and some new fans, we love it. So the more opportunities we have for that, the more we will. And if the next opportunity, we'll let you guys know. But appreciate it, and thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Big yourself up, big everybody up, and big up to Finn, the first winner of our first giveaway. Finn found me, took a selfie, and got the Darren Yappy card. I even threw in, I think it was Cole Bassett for him. So big up to Finn as well. Big up to Mag. Big up to Colton, and big yourself up, you listener, my homies. Perfect way to segue into episode 24. Crash, you weren't around for the home game. I know you said you had some duties to go home to. Rapids end up pulling the narrow victory. I want to say narrow victory. I mean, if memory serves right, I think we had 2 goals that were called off. I mean, from the South Bank, you don't really get too many replays like you would from the Apple coverage. Crash, were you able to see those 2 called off goals? Was it really offside? I thought one of them was not offside, bro. That second one, what was it, like a Navarro header or something like that? I thought we should have probably won that 2-0 or even 3-0.
Yeah. So one, I will say the first offsides was absolutely offsides. That was, if I'm not mistaken, George. It was Hoffa and Georgie connecting, and Georgie was just pretty far over at that point, and Hoffa played it to him. It was a great finish by Georgie. I think at the end of the day, I'm looking at that going, okay, I want to see more of that finishing quality from Georgie when I can. But the other side of it, I think the second was a great goal. It was a great header. But I think what had happened is Reggie Cannon had run off the field and was coming back on and was offsides in that. And the key of it was is that he wasn't. The question really was is did he affect the play, and did he affect the defender's ability to play the ball? You can question it. I'm gonna say tie goes to the runner on that one to a degree, and the person affecting like the play, and I would say you're going to give that to your defender on that point, just because he came back on. He didn't need to. If he wouldn't have stepped in, or been near that defender, it would have been a goal either way. I don't think he really affected the play, but he could have stayed far enough away from it that it didn't matter. And so I think it was just an unfortunate situation. It call could have gone either way, depending on how you looked at it, but I can see where they denied that one. So unfortunate. But again, a few opportunities that we weren't able to capitalize on. That was one of our best opportunities until the final goal there at the 6th minute of stoppage.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, in the South Bank, bro, when the ball goes into the back of the net, I mean, for me, I don't care how, who, when, or just I love the scenes. I love the celebration. I love, just now we have those nitro cannons or whatever that shoot the smoke. It's just like it's a fun experience, even more so now when we're scoring goals. And I didn't even notice that they ended up taking one of those goals away. I had to ask my cousin. I'm like, yo, because the whole family went with me. I had my daughters, my wife, and my little cousin, but they kind of they always like go and occupy like one of the handicap spots up on top, like where you're kind of out of the way because London is still she's actually 2 years old yesterday, so um she's not really like too active, wanted to be in the mix and stuff like that.
She doesn't want to throw beer around in the South Bank.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. She did make an appearance towards the end of the first half. She went and met some of the homies. And then I took her back up to her mom where she was just nice and comfy with the tablet. But what I'm getting at is, bro, those celebrations are just fun. And I was bummed out. They didn't even realize they ended up calling the goal back until I'm like, wait, what the hell happened? We're still at zeros. That's how much I pay attention, bro, when I'm in that South Bank vibe. And you guys already see me there. So that's how we do it that. But San Diego FC had a penalty decision that they could have had. It went to VAR. And a lot of times when the ref goes to the screen, it's because he's going to either switch the call and give it to them. This time he confirmed it and said no penalty. So San Diego, I think I may have said San Jose, my bad. San Diego did not get the penalty. And I thought, bro, if we end up conceding a penalty at that point in time, like it's a different ball game, homie. Honestly, the way it was just going, like the Rapids had the majority of the possession. I say majority, it probably wasn't even that lopsided as it felt. Just looking back at the stats. Yeah. So, I mean, bro, that's almost even. It felt like we had tons of the ball, not going to lie. I mean, I think we even had a ton more passes with better passing accuracy, but it was just no end product, something that's been, a theme and a constant theme of the first half of the season, continuing until the second half of the season, Krash. And I'm not trying to be too negative on this game because we obviously did walk away from the Dick Sporting Goods Park, holding our head high. It took literally up until the last kick of the minute for the MLS debutant, Loïc. That's we remember we had a little doubt on how we were going to say that. The announcer said Loïc Williams. What a way to make your impression. Like if there was any highlights of the match or any like talking points, any just standout moments, Krash, it has to be Loïc Williams, bro, scoring that late, literally one of the last kicks of the game. Freaking winner to send us into mayhem. Krash, just touch a little bit on how you watched the goal. Were you surprised it was him? Kind of a weird finish from him too, bro, like across the body, left foot, just putting it in the back of the bag. But it counted.
Definitely did. When the ball goes in the back of the net, as long as you're not outside, it counts. So, I think, one, I will say I was very happy with Loic's debut. I thought he played a solid game. He looks to be a solid signing at this point. We'll touch base, talk about the second game in a minute, but he jumped right in. He seems to be solid defender, confident. Still looks like he's probably getting used to the system and kind of the get the speed of MLS and what that might look like compared to where second league in Spain is. But I thought he did a great job, and I think for him getting a goal there, especially at the death of the stoppage time, to get the win at home is always awesome. So getting a goal on his debut at home and the win, 3 points, you're not going to have a better night. So I think for him, I'm going to give him his flowers, and I think he got man of the match or on his first night, which was nice too. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for what he can provide. I think, and not knowing what happens to Lucas and others on the team, he slots straight in, and we'll talk about it more with Holding being out. I'm not overly concerned with what we have at center back. So that's great. That's a good thing. He showed he can score. Let's hope he can score more, and that's great. Yeah, I think this game boils down to we did dominate the ball. We did have possession. You look at the first half, it was a really solid first half where we really controlled most of the game. You look at the second half, you can see that San Diego did make some changes and made it hard for us. To be honest, there were some moments there. It was a little sketchy and a little scary. I think that penalty shout was one of them, right? It could have been. And I'm almost surprised it wasn't, to be honest. Usually those calls don't go our way. So I was a little concerned. So the way we came out, didn't score, didn't really get a whole lot of chances. We had a lot of shots. We had 9 shots on the night, 19 touches in the opposition box, which is massive amount of times you're getting opportunities in there, but we couldn't finish. I think the biggest concern that I have looking at that performance is the fact that we only had 0.41 expected goals. So that means we had the ball, we got in the box, we put some shots towards the goal, but none of them were really at all quality shots. And so that, again, the biggest concern that I had through the night wasn't the fact that we got the win. It was the fact that we played 96 minutes before we finally got a shot in the net that counted, which was my biggest concern. So end of the day, we got the win. We got the 3 points. That's happy. That's nice to walk away from. But I wasn't personally overly excited with the outcome of this game and the way it was played.
Yeah, I agree, homie. What do you think of? Let me just look back at here. We played against San Diego, who were kind of toe to toe there in the standings still, even with us picking up those 3 points on the night. Not too sure what they did this Saturday if they won, which I think they did, which would have put them above us. But given the opponent, San Diego FC, would you say that it was an ugly victory, bro? A professional victory? Or, just like, how are you labeling that, bro? Because, I mean, you can have all the possession that you want, but like you said, when you're having such low XG, that basically means you're not really creating any threatful opportunities where it counts in the final third. Even with all of those touches in the box, were they just spoiled, or even we didn't take advantage of them, bro?
Yeah, and I think that was it. We got the victory, but it was giving me the feelings of Rapid's past and kind of what we've seen the past couple of years, where we might play a really solid game, but we just can't find the back of the net. We can't create the chances. We're not putting how many times last season did we have an entire game without a shot on target? We had 9 shots on, and one of them was on target, and it was the goal. And like we've always said, like, you can't win a game without shots. You really can't win a game without shots on target. And I think the finishing and the ability to create chances and those kinds of things were my biggest concern. I mean, we had 410 accurate passes. We had 89% completion rate, which was great. I think there was a lot of really solid metrics that I think really boil into what Matt Wells wants to do. And I think we saw some confidence on the ball. I think we saw, the team playing with the ball and finding the right passes to get down the line and create things. we got into the box, but we just and so again, the same problem that I'm saying, we've had in the years past. We need Hoffa to finish chances. We need creative opportunities, getting the ball into the box, making it challenging for the team that's in front of us. And I just don't think we really quite did it enough. And I think we got lucky there at the end, to be honest. I expected this to go in 0-0. I was surprised by the goal despite really anyway. It was actually a pretty solid pass in from Paxten that he created, and Loïc just happened to be there and barely got it in there, but he got it in. So again, quality on that play, but I think the 96 minutes leading up to that just left me wanting more. And coming out of the long break and the preseason and all the hype that we had kind of gotten from Matt and the kind of lead up, I kind of expected more from them, and I just didn't quite see it. So I don't know. I'm left wanting after this game.
Perfect way to put it, homie. We were left wanting some more heading into the weekend, which was another game, which I guess will segue into the next game, which saw us traveling to St. Louis. I know there was a few of the homies that made the trek out there to St. Louis as well. And we faced off with another team that, we're going to be seeing in that U.S. Open Cup. Is that not our opponent, bro? So we're going to be able to gauge who we're going to be seeing there. And this was the second matchup that we were going to have with them. St. Louis City SC. Krash, let's get into the second game of this second half of the season. Biggest surprise for me heading into the game, homie, was, of course, seeing Loïc Williams with the armband. Thoughts on that just before we get into the game?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that was a big one. And one, I was disappointed. I wanted to go to this game. I wasn't too far away. My parents in Indiana. But I was thinking, oh, I should go. Part of me didn't want to go because I was afraid that we'd get the game that we had. And, you go to your away day and then you get disappointed. And yeah, man, I think one of the things that I was surprised by was Loïc getting iron right. And that seems pretty quick for somebody, to get that switch. I kind of thought it was interesting that still Rob doesn't get the armband, and he seems to be the most senior. Maybe he doesn't want it. Maybe there's something we just don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe Wells just really hates Arsenal that much and is like, sorry, I know you came from there and you're their, you've been there for so long, and he's just like, I just can't quite do it. And maybe that's it. I'm happy with that is for, you Spurs fan out there, I'm sure wouldn't mind that either. So, but jokes aside, it's odd that he doesn't get it. But Loïc did seem to step in. He does speak enough English. He does speak, he's able to translate with the team. I think that might be the challenge with Hoffa having the armband, is really just communicating with the team effectively. So I don't know. I'm curious as to it, but I also didn't think he did a bad job at it. And you look at the kind of this situation of the game and kind of how it all unfolded, and I was impressed with the game, but it ultimately left me disappointed. For the most.
Oh, homie, it's not that I think Matt Wells, like you said, jokingly, has a dislike for him because he's an Arsenal guy. The guy's a professional, don't get me wrong, and I think so is Matt Wells. But what I think the issue is, Krash, and this is just me giving my opinion, is I think he's just not a leader. I mean, he may just not be a leader, bro. And that's not a shame on him. You know what I mean? It's just some people know how to grab the bull by the horns, and some are okay just following. Nothing wrong with that. I just feel that if he wanted to be a leader and he wanted to, lead by example, he would be doing a lot more to do so. You know what I mean? And I'm going to also say this, which I guess I'm going to say respectfully, maybe he's just here for a short time. Maybe he's just here for a ride. Maybe he's just here to live out a couple of seasons of MLS football, get his bag. I don't know if he's making a lot of money or not. It's none of my business, but maybe he's just comfortable in the position that he has, doing what he has, and doesn't really want to take on more. You know what I mean? And another thing is, we could get into it later on, is he's not that great of a player, bro. For me, in my opinion, like, he's literally not. I mean, we have better options. I think we have better options. You know what I mean? If I'm honest with you, I know this is probably going to sound surprising to some people. I'd much rather have Ian Murphy's back, being a center back, than him. He has that, again, like, just like we talk about Zach Steffen, I think he's got a partial bozo gene, and it's evident because he keeps getting freaking red cards. You know what I mean? This is not the first time. It's already happened various times. Krash, and it's happened in similar fashion, bro. The ball is out wide. We somehow managed to try and give it to him. He's beat, and he just does something fucking, you know, he doesn't do the right thing, and he gets called for the foul, and he inhibits, whatever the wording is on that. He inhibits the last player. You know what I mean? And do you remember the goal that he allowed? I say he was guilty for that goal when it was similar action. The ball was out wide by the touchline. It somehow gets played to him. He misjudged it. I don't know what game it was. Could have been Toronto. I could be wrong. But the dude that got it scored a worldie of a curler from way out to beat Zach Steffen. And that was due to him not being on point. And now this time, same issue. Lucas Harrington out wide does a good little flick on. I don't know who he passed it to, but that person heaves it down the way to Rob Holding, and just does the same thing, gets us into trouble. And I guess that's honestly where we could start talking about the game, because it was 10 minutes in, Krash. 10 minutes in, and we went down by the player.
Yeah, it was, and that was rough. I was out with one of my best friends for this game, and I missed the first, the first half, but I was getting updated and I'm seeing all the dings and things, and was able to get back and catch up on the game. But yeah, it was rough, man. I was happy that I was paying attention to other things at this point in the day. Because, watching it back and kind of seeing how it unfolded, it was really rough. And it was a bad pass backwards. I don't know what Yappy was thinking. I mean, it wasn't the greatest opportunity to play the ball back. So that was, a mistake there. But, one, I will say, I do think Rob is a good defender. I think as a center back, he is a solid defender. He has good quality. He is confident on the ball, and he plays well with the ball at his feet. He can get some really solid passes, and the majority of the time, he is pretty solid back there. That being said, I do think, like you said, that bozo gene or something, like, there are moments where I'm like, what is happening? Right? He is older. He maybe has lost a bit of a step from where he was at his peak. But it's kind of the question that I have is one, he seems to really enjoy it here in Colorado, in the States. He's got his green card. His contract was only for like a year and a half, so like a season and a half. He came in half season, and then this season, and then he's kind of done after this, if I'm not mistaken. He might go through the half season of next year, but that just, that kind of questions me. It was a very short-term contract for him, if I remember. And so that is kind of a question I have, is like, maybe that's the reason why you don't see him. Maybe it's really only a short-term, maybe some sort of situation was agreed upon. Like he likes it here. He enjoys it. He's playing hard, but maybe ultimately he doesn't see himself staying here, long term. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he really enjoys it. He seems to really enjoy it. Maybe he's hoping to be a long-term player here. But I don't know. I do have a kind of a question as well. Like, is he the best option long-term? I think with Loïc and with Lucas, if Lucas sticks around, there is some competition I could see there. And then I think for this game was even more interesting because we saw Loïc, Holding, and Lucas, 3 center backs playing in this game, which I thought was the most interesting thing about the start, outside of Loïc having an armband, that we kind of started it like that. So I was a little confused with that lineup because that was definitely not something we've seen. And that was with Miggy on the sidelines, even though he was available, and 3 center backs out there playing, with Reggie Cannon on the right side. So that I don't know. I question that, and that's maybe there's something. Maybe I think Miggy had a knock or something is maybe why it happened. But interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and not to really like harp on him. That's what you said about Rob Holding is why I feel like that. You know what I mean? Like not a long-term contract, kind of just skating on through and maybe he's just okay being a passenger in the car for now. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just when you have a player that comes in and shows that leadership quality, maybe that just stands out more. And something I want to say about Loïc Williams is even on his debut game here in Commerce City, he kept butting heads with one of the players for the San Diego FC players in the box. And I remember there was like a little sequence of runs there where like they had the referee had to keep blowing the whistle and calling him over because he's just being really physical. Him and the San Diego FC player were just being real physical, and like I like that. I like that, bro.
Yeah.
Get into your groove. You know what I mean? Set your tone right away. Let them know that you're not going to be pushed over. Let them know, that you're a girthy fella and you're going to make it happen. I'm all for that, bro. And I think maybe, like, again, going back to Rob Holding, who's played in North London derbies, arguably one of the biggest rivalries on this planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just like you should have that more want in you, if that makes sense. Like you should have that more, tenacity, that more will to just stick in. You know what I mean? But at his, I don't know how old or how young he is, but maybe he's just, not for it. And I'm definitely not against Loic being the captain. I like it. Like you said, speaks English and Spanish, which I think is good because Hoffa, even though Portuguese is probably number one, he speaks Spanish as well. So he's able to get into there. He's able to get into, I think maybe even Hamza is a Spanish speaking person. You know what I mean? So he's able to communicate with them in that part. And yeah, no, I'm all for that, my homie. I thought he made a good account for himself on the first game, scoring the goal. Second game, Crash, not to put anything on him, I just felt like we played bad as a team collectively. We were down by the player very early on, and it sucks watching football when you're down to 10 men because it's literally all players behind the ball, Crash. And it's literally like just hold on for dear life. That set the tone, bro. I felt like we got let down. And Crash, just your thoughts on the game, homie.
Yeah. Well, I think, you look at the game. I mean, momentum was obviously in Seattle or St. Louis's hands the entire game.
Yeah.
The one thing that I was pleased with the fact that we went almost the entire game and didn't concede. I thought I was pleased with Nico. I thought Nico played an amazing game, had a couple just really epic stops when they should have scored. As keep continuing to show his quality and his ability to get better each week, which makes me confident with him in the net. I thought that defensively, it was the strongest I think I've seen us play defensively in a long time because, they just we defended the entire game. It was very, 20 total shots, 36 touches in our box, and they only had 0.9 expected goals. Again, not trying to say that Seattle or St. Louis is a giant, team that they should destroy us, but they did beat LA Galaxy 3-1 the game before. And if I'm not mistaken, Galaxy had a red card as well. But they got the red card right just after the second half. So, you look at that and you look at what they're able to create and do with LA, and LA is not showing to be the greatest team, but we played the same game that they had and didn't concede anything. So I will give a lot of props to the team for being able to dig in, play hard, not give them any inch. They really did. It was really only one time did they put a foot wrong for the most part. Or maybe you call it 3 times they put the foot wrong, right? And it was one was the goal when they were, didn't get enough pressure on the ball and he's able to shoot from wide and get a beautiful goal in. But then those other really 2 opportunities that they had against us, where Nico really made some big saves. Outside of that, it was, it was tough. They made it hard. The problem, though, was just the fact that we had nothing. There was nothing we could do to get the ball out of our half. Like there was only a couple chances that we had getting the ball into their, even into their half of the field most of the time. And I think that was the thing that I struggled with. And it was just like, come on, we got to do something different, because there were times we were still trying to play out of the back with 10 and it was not working. And it was very rare for us to just eject that ball, get us some breathing room, try to put, win a ball, in the half and work forward, which I love the identity of that. But man, like, it was really, really tough to watch. And the fact that we couldn't, we had 74 passes in the opposition half to 393. Like, we spent the entirety of the game in our half. So again, big ups to the defensive side, but we had nothing moving forward at all. And so I think that for me was the biggest concern that I had and the biggest problem that I had with the game, and why I left with it going, man, we need something more. We need help. We need new player. We need something, because we just could not generate anything with 10 men. And we've seen it. We've seen our ability with 10 men to still create chances and get the ball and make it competitive. This was not the game. And so I don't know. Maybe there are things I don't know. There are things in the game that happen. There's tactics and elements of the game that dictate a lot of this. But to me, it seems like we should have been able to adjust to able to do something and create some sort of attack at times, or transition or something, and we just never could.
So, no, you're absolutely right, Krash. Going down to 10 men is not the end of the world. We've seen teams pull, smash and grab and get a victory from that position. You know what I mean? And we've obviously seen our team this season face that type of uphill battle and still put on a massive display for us, and in the end coming unshort a bit. But yeah, I at the end of the game, Krash and I, we exchanged a couple of messages. I was actually watching the game at my dad's house because we ended up they had a party that we got together for, and so we put it there on the screen outside, and it was just boring to watch, bro. Like like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm a fan of the goal celebrations, and when it's just 10 men behind the ball, bro, for me, you might as well put on some soap operas, homie, because that's how entertaining and how interested I'm going to be when that's happening. And, I'm going to kind of go on like, I'm kind of going to veer this a little bit and saying, the Confluence podcast is definitely a place where Krash and Leo get together to be able to express their opinions, right? We're able to give your opinion, your knowledge. I give my opinion, whatever type of knowledge I could bring to the table. Like at the end of the day, this is a vessel for us to be able to, just vent, or either, just talk through the void to you to me, and to the homies, the community that we built. This, I was very, very vocal, and I sometimes try to like hold my tongue at what I say because I sometimes want to just be much more of a miserable sod when it comes time to talking about the Rapids, bro. But
Mhm.
this was the first week crash where not the confluence, where I felt and I made it public that like I'm so against the way this club is being run and the way that Matt Wells is having to try and scrape whatever he can to make us a proper team, and displays like the one that we've seen on the weekend. Granted, we were down by the man. Granted, things happen. Like, I think I kind of just took it out on at the end of the game. I took it out on KSC, and I was just like, like I'm so over it. I feel like if we don't get any type of investment to the club, like this is just going to be an uphill battle week in and week out. And the one that's going to obviously end up having to pay the piper, and the one that's going to be on the chopping block, of course, is I want to say a talented manager like Matt Wells. And just how freaking it's just so stressful, Crash, to watch performances like that. And I try and like part of me, like, well, even like when I posted on X saying some stuff like that, like I didn't even take into consideration that we were down by a player, Crash. Like that was like the last thing I was thinking about. I was just like, why can't we not put ourselves in this position and look for the future and just try to anticipate shit like this so that we're not left in these positions, Crash? And this game, I think, was just kind of like the straw that ended up breaking the camel's back. Crash, what are your thoughts on me?
Yeah, no, I had the same feelings, and it's kind of a double-edged sword because I did feel good about the fact that the guys they put in the effort, they put in a shift in that game, and I feel bad that they had to concede so late because it looked like we might be able to pull it out. Hard conditions. It was humid as hell in St. Louis. I was over there the next day. It got super humid. I was happy to leave on that Sunday back to Colorado. So one, it's hard, and I get that. the The problem that I had wasn't the fact that the team put in the full effort. It was the fact, and I had the same feelings as you, is that this the performance and what we saw wasn't for lack of effort. I thought Matt Wells did the best he could with what he had in front of him. I thought the team did the best they could with what they had in front of them. And the problems that I'm having is how this team and how this club is built and run. And, we were getting hope at the beginning of the season. We were getting conversations with the ownership and leadership there saying, yes, we're not forgetting about the Rapids, and we're not, we're investing. We want this to be successful. We should be winning championships and blah, 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 blah. But we come out of the World Cup break, no news, no additions, no nothing. And we'll talk about it here in a second because we did get a leak here this past week after the game on Saturday. But man, I think that leak came because of the outroar and frustrations of the fans and the supporters. We gotta show them something because we need help on this team, and we need opportunities on this team to create chances and be dangerous. And there are roster slots that we do have not filled, and this team is now in 13th place in the West, 2 from the bottom. And we are only 5 points from last right now.
Mm. Yeah.
So I think the system makes sense. I think that we can be dangerous, but we can't finish chances. We can't put the ball in the back of the net since we started. What has changed? What has shifted? What's going on? And with no help coming in, this team's going to be doomed. And like you said, it's going to fall on Matt Wells. And it's now become a consistent situation with this team. We get a new manager. They bring in some new players, make it sound all exciting. We see positivity and movement, and then nothing. And then the manager is now left with a squad that he's got to figure out and shoestring and bubblegum it together to do the best they can. They're going to run through a brick wall for him. They're going to do their best, but ultimately it is not constructed to the right quality of the league to perform in the level that they need to. And that is because KSE does not want to invest in this team. They are not providing the players. They're not providing the funding. They're not providing the infrastructure. They're not providing any of that stuff. And it's clear as day to anyone paying attention. They keep gaslighting and saying that it's happening or we want to do this. And KSE is one of the largest sporting organizations in the world. Arsenal, one of their prized possessions, won the Premier League last year. You know, they were talking about getting Vinny Jr. for however many hundreds of millions of dollars, something that they could easily do, which would dwarf and change this club. You know, I think it didn't go through. I think the rumors didn't happen and it's not going to happen, but still they could have done that. And it's just frustrating as a fan and a supporter of this club, somebody who cares deeply about this club and what it represents. And I want it to be successful, to just be like, oh, here we go. Another window where we don't do anything dramatic or we're not changing this team for the better when there's plenty of opportunity. There's World Cup hype. People want to come to the U.S. There's so many opportunities. We're going to go through another season where we're halfway through the window. It takes 6 weeks to get a player. They finally get here, and we have no shot at the playoffs because we are 25 points. We're now what, 19 points? We are okay. So we're 5 points out of ninth place right now. We're 4 points out of ninth place right now. Again, with Minnesota at 23. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't have a lot of faith that this team, not this team can't do it, but that the ownership and the front office are going to provide the level of players and resources to this team to be successful. And it's just sad. And that's where my frustration was at the end of this game.
I mean, I agree, bro. When you look at, you said they're one of the biggest. I'm saying, if not the biggest, you know what I mean, sporting enterprises, bro. How many, mistake me if I'm wrong, is it Nuggets, Avalanche as well? Championship caliber teams with, huge money to spend. The Avalanche are a very good run organization. Avalanche are always in playoff contention, if not Stanley Cup winning contention. The Nuggets, not too far behind that, where they get proper investment, you know what I mean? And they get proper backing. Arsenal, they just won the Premier League. But even before that, bro, finishing second, going deep into the Champions League. You guys almost won the Champions League this season. You know what I mean? Like, that's major money going into them, bro. The Rams, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, bro, the money is there, Krash. What bothers me is it's just like they're showing with their actions that they don't care about this squad, this team, this organization that we follow. You know what I mean? And I guess that's the hardest part, the hardest pill to swallow about, just being a Rapids fan, bro. It's like, I knew we weren't going to be the biggest, the most flashiest car in the parking lot. I knew that, bro. Like, I knew that. We're not the biggest market. You know what I mean? But things are changing in the world today, bro. Like, anybody could spend some money. I mean, look at this, bro. How long has St. Louis SC been a franchise for now? Maybe 4 or 5 years. Okay, bro, they have a dope ass freaking and I'm using them because they were our opponent. They have such a lovely stadium, homie. Dope.
Yeah, their facilities
infrastructure there. Facilities are amazing. Everything up to date. A squad who's bringing in players. You know what I mean? Like, they're they're made to compete. You know what I mean? Teams like the Chicago Fire, old school, originals in the MLS, just picked up Lewandowski. Is it not Chicago Fire that just picked up Lewandowski?
Yeah.
Well, Crash, I actually want to bring it back to your ex post that you put about a certain Antoine Griezmann coming into the league, coming into Orlando City, and instantly making a huge splash and helping his team to hash out some victories. You know what I mean? Like that. And Orlando City, another one of these teams that is not unoriginal like the Rapids are. One of these expansion teams who, they've been around now for quite a while. Don't get me wrong, maybe 11 years, 12 years, but that's fairly fresh compared to a 30-year-old organization who should be well rooted into this league and should not be behind some of these behind some of these teams. Like that's the part that bothers me, bro, is I know we're not the biggest market, but at the same time, why should we let other people come in and take a spot that we could be claiming, bro? It's frustrating, Crash.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah. And to that point of that post, I think is the biggest challenge and problem that I have, right? We've heard the Porig and Demoff both say this about, we're going to do this our own way. We're not going to follow the model that the other teams in the league are going to do. And, the model is pretty clear with the MLS right now. And I understand what the model that they're trying to do is, and and it's pretty obvious. Spend as little amount of money as possible on the best players that they can get for as little as money as possible. And we're seeing what that is. I'm not saying any of these guys on the team are bad players.
Absolutely not.
They're the players that we have all have potential. There's all some, upside potential on most of them, but they're spending their elite minimums half this squad, right? C League, Georgie are all on very small contract from their first year of, rookie kind of contracts. So they're nothing in there, right? And so we're expecting these guys to play up the top level. We got Wayne Frederick, who's a rookie, right? He just got extended, so I'm sure he got a bump there. Good for him, right? Nico just got extended. He got a bump on his because he deserves it, and it's still low.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, you look at this, and it's pretty clear what they're trying to do. And the point the frustration that I have is Orlando first half season was terrible. One of my good friends, I work with them. He's an Orlando City fan, and it was bleak. I would see him every day on Monday. We'd go in the office, and he'd be like, "Don't talk to me. I don't want to. It's bad. We're terrible. Like this season is a wash. Whatever." And they went into the break, made some massive changes. They got in some new players. They went ahead and they made the Griezmann acquisition happen. And what happens? They come out on fire. They're a completely different team from what they were the first half of the season. And I'm just saying it. These players, they, yes, we're, you can call it a retirement league or this or that, but these guys are good quality players. They raise the level of everyone around them because they come from such pedigree. Son is a prime example. He didn't have a great start to this season, right? But he still contributed. They're still second in the West, even with him not scoring. And they come in after the break, man. He is on fire, and he is creating, he is scoring, and he is having a good time and making it exciting to watch, right? You've got Mueller in Vancouver, same thing, top of the West, right? All these teams that you're seeing bring in these top, older-ish players, players that they want to see, on the field and the players want to play with. It's not that the players are the quality didn't shift because Griezmann got on the field. The drive and the expectation is what pushed these players. So They can't take the time. They were trying to live up to the expectation. There's eyeballs on them, so they want to be seen, right? And that's the thing is like, who's watching the Rapids? Who gives a shit? None of these players are going to, I mean, outside, the only reason why they're watching the Rapids now is because of Lucas Harrington, because of the World Cup and those kinds of things. So that's the only reason why eyeballs are out, right? I think that's the problem is now that we've created this, situation where it's like, why would we be watching, right? And I watch every game. I watch every minute. I want to be at every game and every minute. I want to see this team succeed. There's a recipe to do that. And the fact that the Rapids front office think that they know better than everybody else, well, we are 13th in the West. We have 19 points. We are 6-1-10.
So
maybe we should look at ourselves and be accountable to what we're saying and what our situation is. And maybe we should make some changes, because what we're doing right now consistently year after year is not it. And we should make some real drastic changes, in my opinion, because this is sad.
Yeah. No, I agree, bro. And like I said, I didn't mean to really veer this conversation off that way, but just back to the game. Anything you wanted to touch on that game, bro, before we kind of just forget about it?
No, again, it's a red card game. We put in a lot of effort. The team did dig deep and did their best. Props to them in a challenging situation. And I don't want to discourage them in that siding. And I support the players. I support Matt. I support what they were trying to do in this moment. I thought they did their best, and we almost pulled out a point, which would have been great. We didn't. Forget about it. Move on. Let's get the best of St. Louis in the Open Cup when we play them in September, because, man, we need something. 2 red cards and losses against St. Louis in the season right now. Not how you want to do it. Let's for sure hope we don't get another red card against them in the Open Cup, because that I just don't know if I could take that.
No, that's literally the last thread of hope that I'm holding on to, bro, is just trying to make it to that final. So, look, something that I do want to say, though, about the players that KSC have kind of brought in is we've tried to do different routes, right? I mean, it's definitely that Moneyball approach where we're trying to see what fits the system for the price range. And players like Lucas Harrington, I feel like, a diamond in the rough. You got players like Hamza, who has definitely hit the ground running. He's been a vital performer for us this season, not necessarily contributing goal-wise, but defensively doing his job, bro. He's a monster 6. A perfect way of going out into the smaller markets in a French side, and picking up one of the players that surplus the requirements there. I think they did an excellent job bringing him in. And then now we're starting to see Loïc Williams integrated right away off the bat into the first lineup. Now having that captain's armband, that for me is 3 huge wins for KSE if they're going to be trying to play that money ball, which brings us to our probably last topic of the pod is Youssef Maziz. Is that what is that what it was, Krash? Youssef Maziz.
Yeah.
Youssef
Maziz.
Which I guess we kind of got tossed, like you said, a rumor, kind of probably just fed this rumor to calm down the judgmental gyms, the Leo Kois and the Krashes of the world, right? That are being a bit more vocal in the exosphere. But
I guarantee it wasn't because I said anything, because I guarantee whatever I say online, nobody cares about except for maybe a few people. But it's nice to think that maybe I had some sort of influence in that. But no, I don't think Tom Bogert's breaking news because I complained on X.
So they basically gave us this rumor, and look, it hopefully what I was getting at with that, with the previous 3 names that I mentioned, is when we're getting players from outside of the MLS, Krash, we've kind of had a bit of a better record with these guys. I say that with finding these somewhat diamonds in the rough, if you will. Like I said, Loic, Hamza, and Lucas there. Now, this new link here with Youssef Maziz, let's just kind of, break it down. He's actually without a club right now, but he was playing with his last team would have been
Was it
OH Leuven? Yeah, Leuven there, a Belgian in the Belgian league. But now he's actually without a club. Looks like he spent the majority of his time playing out there in France and 2 stints in Belgium. Krash, like we kind of talked about before this show, not a move that moves the needle, in my opinion. I'm kind of hoping and holding out hope that he's going to be one of these players that they've scouted very well and they know exactly where he's going to slot in to kind of do things that we need him to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I think, Matt Wells had talked about, him being very involved with these players and the conversations and making sure that each of the signings that they're looking at match the profile that he is wanting, and the, kind of the culture and those elements. So I think that's a positive, because if he did the same thing with Loic and some of the players that we've got coming in, I like that, because then it's on Matt, right? And it's up to the front office to finish it. I'm hopeful from that perspective, but right now, Youssef, it would be a TAM signing, so he wouldn't be a DP. He'd be at the top end of the pay scale there. So he would be coming in for, you would expect him to be a starter. He is a creative attacking midfielder, so he's really that 10 role, which is good, because that's something we've been kind of complaining about for a while, is we need to be able to create chances. And he seems to be, at least on paper, show his quality there. I think some of the metrics of his ability to create, and it has been on the higher end side, which is good. The concern that I have is more just the fact that you look at last year, he didn't have that many goals and assists. I think he had 3 goals and 4 assists in 2,300 or so minutes, which isn't really great at the end of the season. I think you look at Paxten and Hoffa and even Yappy, we got halfway through the season and they all have more than that, if not, halfway through. So again, I'm not knocking him before. I don't know anything about him. It's not the signing where I'm going, oh, yay, I feel really good about where we're going to be now that we have a player from a Belgian league that I'd never heard of in my life, right? There's barely any highlights on him, right? Yeah. And I think that's the concern. I hope that he comes in and really pairs well with Paxten and Hoffa and the wingers, and is be able to create chances. I think some of the highlights that I've seen, I see some really good quality. He's got he's a good person on free kicks and dead ball situations. He's got a good foot on him. So I think he can be a good, solid player. It's just not the player that you're going, oh, yay, this is going to save the season, right? This is the quality that we needed. And so, again, maybe he's just the adding to that depth and a creative player that we're going to have. Maybe it pushes Paxten back to more of an 8 and he's the 10. So it allows Paxten to be in his more natural position. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects Hamza and Atencio, and, how they kind of battle for minutes, or maybe it's just allows them to be able to support each other and not have, so many yellow cards across the two of them. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how that nets out. But I think the key of it is again, one player. It's interesting. We'll see how it turns out. We'll see if it even gets over the finish line. I would imagine if Tom's writing and putting it out there that it's on its way and it's gonna happen. But Wells did say that we're still looking, and Tom said that we're still active. We're still being active in this window. And so it says club will continue to be active as well. So what does that mean? Yeah, no clue. I think Wells has hinted at one more additional signing. So in the attack. So what do we get? Do we get a DP U22 high level signing coming in to make us feel a little bit better about the season? We'll see, but I have not seen any new information.
Yeah, I mean, I would hate to be a negative Nancy on this. I want to see it happen first, and then I want to see production on the field, because we are starving for action on the field, Krash. We are starving for goals. We are starving for, just points on the board. We need to pick up points. We've dropped points so many times this season. Only game that we watched and we drew was against LAFC, I think, in LA, where we were winning and they ended up coming back. That's the only time we've had a draw. It's either we win or we lose, bro. And it's been a lot of the loss. You know what I mean? And I know we need creative players. I would absolutely welcome 1, 2, 3 more additions to this attacking setup. It's just a shame. It's a shame that we're in this position. I know when the season started and when moves got made, Krash, you and I were extremely excited to see what Dante Sealy was going to bring to the table. We were really stoked for Manungu, right? That explosiveness, that one-on-one, which let's just be, he honestly can be that creative spark. You know what I mean? He's such a good player in that respect. But it's just, I feel like some of these players that we have in the squad right now are just not producing the minerals, and maybe we're just 1, 2 of these players away from the whole team collectively clicking, not just depending all on Maziz. You know what I mean? Maybe Maziz is that player that's going to help link up, or maybe help find that ball out wide to Dante Sealy, who's then going to find Hoffa. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm actually hoping for in the long term for a move like this. You know what I mean? Are they planning for it because he's the type of player that's going to collectively get this team firing a bit more? And even that, another ace up the sleeve.
Well, and I think too, that point, right? You look at Sealy, who has quality. He needs to still develop. He's still very young. He still has an opportunity to be there. I think Wells is very high on him, and we've seen positive play from him, but it's just not quite there. It's not just quite good enough yet. And I think, we look at the same thing with Georgie. I think same thing. He's really solid dribbler, likes to go after people 1v1. He's explosive when he needs to be. Is he an every game 90 minutes kind of guy, or a 75 minutes kind of guy, or 60 minutes kind of guy? No, he's not really been there, but he is a game-changing kind of player, right? You can bring him on. I think Sealy is also a potential to do those kinds of things. So, I look at the profiles and kind of where they are and how they play and what I would expect of them. And that's really the concern is, to me, these aren't really your everyday lock-in starters. These are your depth or game-changing off-the-bench kind of players, which are great players to have and we need, right? We need to be able to go into these games that, hey, we can put these people in, kind of like we've done with Yappy, in the past. Yeah. And, you look at our attack, we have Yappy, Georgie, Sealy, and Paxten. That's really it. And now, maybe the Aziz or Youssef, right? So like, it's not really the attack where you're going, oh, yay, I'm really fearful of what's going to happen here, right? And I think that's the key, is we're putting these players in a situation that they probably shouldn't be at this age and where they're at. And there needs to be some more dangerous, attack, which is probably why Wells was pushing so much for this attack, where he saw, hey, it's just not quite there. We need more time for some of these guys to develop, and we're putting too much on them to do it. And I think Sealy's a prime example. He's not scoring. He's not creating these chances. You can see it's in his head. He needs support. So I think that's where I'm at. I'm like, we're not expecting these guys to live up to the expectation. And then every other depth piece is basically an R2 player. You know what I mean? And we can't expect our R2 players to be our off the bench, change the game players. It's just not going to happen.
And I the reason I think about it like that, Crash, is in order to not have Hoffa burden the whole load of the goal scoring. You just said it. Just think of Yappy, think of Paxten, think of Georgie Manungu, think of Dante Silly, then out of Hoffa, and maybe a Maziz. Why couldn't each one of these players easily get 8 goals? You know what I mean? Like, if you have these players all scoring 8 goals, that's 8, 16, 24, what are we, 32, 40? That's like 40 something goals. If I did my math right, that's a lot of goals that we could be scoring. And that's just with a few players. That's not even to mention maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 goals for my Hamza from out deep. He's got a goal in him. Scored, I think, on the opening game, got us a goal, you know what I mean? From a shot far away that was deflected in, Cannon, Reggie Cannon, maybe on some headers. You're talking Lucas Harrington on some headers. There's no reason why this team should not be scoring more goals, homie. And, I'm hoping that a player like Maziz, if it happens, if things are true and we pick up another one, can honestly just help fuel that. Because look, you definitely give your team a better chance of lifting a trophy, or even winning the MLS Cup, if you have a player like Heung-min Son, if you have a Robert Lewandowski, if you have a Mueller, you know what I mean, if you have a Griezmann. But at the end of the day, Crash, if you have a team that's firing, if you have a squad of players that are all contributing, homie, that's just as good in the long run, bro, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dix is not a big place, and we know that when the team's playing well and in big moments, they can fill that stadium. That's not a hard situation. But they will not fill the stadium the way that they are currently playing. It's not going to happen. And what are they trying to do? Fill the stadium and make this team, successful monetarily, or are they trying to make this team successful on the field, in that capacity? So there are a couple ways to do it, and it just seems like they're failing at both.
I couldn't agree more, my homie. Just real quick, dude, let's just, now that we're here, Crash, we have a game coming up this Saturday at home against Austin. Austin sit almost level with us. Where's the standings here? Austin, yeah, one seed below us, 2 points behind. Looking at this game, Crash, not to take too much more of the time, but where do you think we lie at, bro? I mean, we've been pretty good at playing against a lower opposition, or playing to the competition. How do you think we're going to play against Austin? You think this is obviously a perfect opportunity at home to pick up some points?
So this is a must win for us. If we lose, we're now in 14th place in the West. We are very far behind any chance of playoffs without some sort of massive run. This is a must-win game, and Austin is not a great team by any means. What they've got the negative 13 goal differential. So if we have any opportunity for a get-right game to get some of the guys a goal, it's going to be this game. So I hope we can. We're at home. We should win this. If we don't, man, it's gonna be rough if the game doesn't go our way. And I'm gonna put it this way: I don't care if there's a red card. I don't care if there's a bad call. I don't care about any of that. If we lose this game, regardless of the situation, it's we are at the bottom of the table, close. Like if Sporting KC, they're going to play Houston. They're not going to win that game. There's no way that's going to happen. But if for some reason we're a point or two away from the very bottom of the table, like there has to be some dramatic changes in the squad, or it's wooden spoon time. You know what I mean? That's how can we be, granted we're 19 points, Atlanta's really even further worse than us. So it's not like we're getting that wooden spoon necessarily, but how can we be at the bottom of the table and then still playing for an Open Cup final potentially? Right. And I think that's the key of it. It's like, what's not happening? What aren't we able to do? How can we beat us? How can we draw LAFC? How can we beat San Jose? How can we do some of the things that we've done this year and seen some really positive, progress and performances, but then also just be not good at the same time. So I don't know. This is a must-win game. I hope everybody goes. I hope everybody supports it. It's an opportunity for us to get right. I think we could just stomp on Austin FC if we all come out. If the moment's not too big, if the pressure's not too much, because I think they're all feeling it too. This is a must-win game.
Yeah. Are you gonna be there, Krash?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Nice, man. Yeah, I'm planning on being there too as well. Got a birthday party to go to before that, but I'm gonna cut that party short because we are gonna be having one at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Homie Krash, any final thoughts? Anything that we didn't touch on that maybe you wanted to talk about? Anything you got going on that you wanted to plug?
No, nothing I can plug. I will, like I said, I'll be there on Saturday for the game, which will be exciting. And I'm traveling down to San Diego for work for the next week or so. So you'll see me in a new location. We'll definitely record while I'm there. So look for a new episode for us next week, following up on the game on Saturday. But yeah, man, other than that, I'm just, you'll start seeing me out on the pitch soon. So I'll be showing up in my no longer Rapids coaching attire. I'll be in we transitioned over to the Storm, Colorado Storm officially now, which has been fun. And we got some new kits. I got to get a new hat though. This hat I can't wear it out coaching anymore. You can see it's losing its color, so it's time to be replaced. I gotta find a patch or something to make me know because I haven't seen one yet. But other than that, for all those who are out, if you're listening and you're at Storm, excited for the new season. Club's the same, coaches are similar, but I will say that we are doing a lot of really good work with the players, and I really do feel confident with where this club from the youth perspective is going. I know there's a lot of talk recently about the youth program with the World Cup and how the national team did. But I do think, at least here in Colorado, that the Storm is doing a really good job, especially with us in the North, Storm North program. Really good with culture, with kind of the development, making sure that the kids are taking a driver's seat in that. And I'm really excited for the season to get kicked off because it's been fun so far. So yeah, that's all I got going on. And yeah, if you see me on the pitch, just let me say hi.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to point out before we take off, bro, 3 home matches in a row. So this is a good opportunity for the Pits to use that home field advantage, use that crowd, pick up some massive points, bro. If we could pick up 7, 9 points, I know that's a stretch because we do play against LAFC midweek. But if we were able to pick up 7 to 9 points, bro, that's a good heap. That's a good crawl up that table, you know what I mean, to put us into some better contention there. And 2 more things I would want to touch on. That game against Sporting KC, you filthy animals, if you happen to see me, that's August 15th. It'll be my birthday. Come say what's up if you see me that day. Colorado versus Sporting KC, the 15th is my birthday. I will be there too as well. And
my daughter's going to be walking out on the game too.
Your daughter is, let's go, homie, let's go.
Mhm.
Big up, Big Mac, let's go.
Yeah, we'll be there.
And
And that's 2 weeks, so we get a gap. So I think that's the cool thing to remember too, is we have it is a big span between this game on Saturday and that next game, which is good. So hopefully it gives the team some, get a win, get some time, maybe we get some new players, and then come into that next game. So I agree with you. So that'll be a nice one there for sure. So make sure you come out, you say hi to Leo, wish him a happy birthday, give him a high five, take a picture.
let's go. And just to kind of touch on what you said, Crash, about being a make or break game. If we start that 3-game mini home series, bro, with the L, I think that's just going to set the tone, bro. And then we have that game against KC right afterwards, who can possibly, if things go good for them this weekend and go good for them that game, they'll leapfrog us, homie. And now it's wood and spoon time, bro. You're absolutely right. Bro, I'm actually kind of happy today. I booked my flights to London. I'll be going to London in November. I'm going to go catch a game against Fulham. It's going to be Spurs and Fulham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And I'm going to another North London derby, Arsenal visiting Tottenham at the stadium, homie. It's going to be fun.
You're going to be wearing your red, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, absolutely, homie. You already know, bro. You already know. No, my homie Krash, if there's nothing for us to discuss, bro, do me a favor and cue that outro music.
Yeah. My heart, C38, Lil Kois and KTK. Locals on the fly, causing turbulence. Causing waves on our way to the confluence. New voice for the fans, from the pitch to the stands. My heart, locals on the South Bank lads. Leo, Kois and the whole me crash. Hold up, what's this? A raft on the water to the confluence. Yeah, it's trance. I'm blind to rhymes and laughter. Head to the waters if it's piss you're after. C38, the time is now. Locals on the drums to hold it down. Like the stream and 2 5 stars. The mile high Hotspur and crash the car. Yeah.